And yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the male soap opera moment featuring two of the most synonymous, well-known indigenous intellectuals in the wrestling universe you have ever yet to meet. First, on his way to Damascus on the road, his name is Damaskian Lycan Desmond Dagenhart.
I think you're the first person to ever actually pronounce that the way that I intended it to be pronounced.
We're going to do it again. This seems to be a common theme. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to acknowledge the reigning, defending, undisputed Wenz World Prediction Champion, Vincent Kennedy Booch.
And this time it is undisputed because if it hadn't been for a no contest, I'd have ran the damn gauntlet, ladies and gentlemen. The Booch stands tall again, the undisputed champion, not up for debate, not up for discussion, almost a clean sweep, not quite what he had, but damn close to a clean sweep, ladies and gentlemen. And I am here again, once again, to have the world acknowledge me.
I'll do it. I'll do it. You deserve it. Again, I'm not going to be a bitter Betty. I am not going to. Hey, you got an acknowledgement from Desmond. Hey, you got an acknowledgement from Des.
I'm for number one. I'll take it.
Just the most powerful finger, you know?
Oh, yes.
Doesn't it stink that your strongest grocery bag handing finger is also the middle? So depending on how many neighbors you encounter as you're, because we're one-trip dudes. We don't take two trips and when getting the groceries. You get it all in one trip. Depending on who's there, you know, it could be like this while you're grabbing the groceries because, you know, this is and you don't want to carry on while they're walking their poodle, you know, in your front yard. So it just looks bad. Anyway, let's get back to business. Congratulations, Vinny Bucci. You took your victory lap. Those shoulders are getting swole from carrying so much metal these last couple months. Can it continue through Survivor Series War Games in what, mere days? But Booch, we got a long way to go before we get there because we are here to recap Crown Jewel and discuss the happenings and how Vincent Kennedy Bucci has maintained his tenure as our prediction champion. Let's go in the order, gentlemen, if that's okay with you, that we predicted. The first match that apparently didn't happen, you guys didn't see or hear no bell. I always hear and hear bells. Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens. All three of us, in case you guys forgot, predicted Kevin Owens to win this match. There was a brawl. You guys say there was a big brawl. This match never happened. If it had happened, I feel like all three of us would have gotten this right. So can we all get a point just because I feel like that's the right thing to do here? It's what's best for business.
I think what he's saying is, Vinny, I think what he's saying is he wants a participation trophy.
I mean, he does realize by doing that, he just gives me a perfect score. Like, it helps him not at all. Like, he goes from 2 to 3, you go from 4 to 5, and I get a perfect score. So,
hey, I was in third place regardless. It doesn't matter. It doesn't change the outcome. But anyway, did you guys enjoy the match that didn't happen? Or do you just want to skip it?
It was a good brawl. It set up a good storyline, and you've already heard my opinions on the whole working in Saudi thing, so screwing them out of an actual decision kind of makes me smile.
Wenz World and its parent companies do not necessarily reflect the same views as Desmond Dagenhart. Sorry, that just kind of comes in the show every now and then. The lawyers have spoken. They all live inside the perimeter, and they tell me what to say.
The views expressed by Desmond Dagenhart are his and his alone.
Booch, did you enjoy the brawl? I did. I enjoyed it so much I thought it was a match.
yeah. I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, obviously, there's that part of me that's like, if that was the decision I'm going to go with, why fly them all the way to Saudi Arabia? But I could ignore that. The only real pet peeve I had, and this is because one thing we always talk about is storyline and continuity. That's something we always talk about on the show. And a while back, long time ago, Randy Orton hit an RKO on Nick Aldis and was fined $50,000. He jumped up but check for $100,000. He said, but the fine was 50. He goes, that's for next time, and walks away. That was a funny joke. We all laughed. But I'm thinking, this could have been that next time. You could have RKO'd Nick Aldis, and like Nick's like, what gives? I said, well, I don't pay for this one, and Nick kind of gets mad. But so I'm like, why are you RKOing Adam Pearce? Why is he even out here? You're a Raw general manager. Unless you're trying to set up a match between Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis at some point down the road, and Adam could say he RKO'd me, you didn't find him. That's the only logical reason I can come up with for why you would even do that. So aside from that, I
Crown Jewel was a show for both shows though. So that explains why Pierce was there. He was there trying to get control of Crown Jewel.
Okay, that's a good point. All right, that's a valid point. I still feel like as a Raw GM, it's not his fight, but that's a valid reason to explain it.
I like where you're going where it's like I think what they should have done is on Raw afterwards. They should have had Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce talking together and have him zelling him the $50,000.
So that would have been great. Like, hey, I got an extra $50,000. I'll send it to you. That would there you go, because that would have kept the story going. Like, again, because that's one of those things that I know Desmond bragged about how Triple H remembers things from the past and brings it back. Like, that would have been a good way to explain that.
Again, Booch, you guys give way too much credit. And I know Hunter is making some of the decisions, but I don't think they have a board of callbacks, like board of decisions to be fulfilled.
No,
that would be wonderful, though, in that giant building in Connecticut. Have one just like whiteboard where like we dropped this Easter egg on November 15th, 2024, yet to be delivered, but here are some possible scenarios, and just kind of like outline it. That would be brilliant, because people like you who remember these things, like, this is important, and this is a way to tie those loose ends together. But again, you give them way too much credit, and things that make sense often don't. It's an upside down WWE universe we all live in.
Well, and that's why they tune into this show, because we're going to tell them what they should have done, and they're going to go, oh my God, that's brilliant.
If only they were listening, guys.
One day, WWE will see our shit and start like, why did we think about that? And then go back and watch more of our shit. Like, they're like that all the damn time. We need to hire these dumbasses.
All right, Booch, I don't know if I'm making this. Go ahead. You first.
Look, how many times we predicted stuff on this show, and there's been times where they've actually pulled the trigger on it.
All right, can I just say one? I was going to go with it. Okay, there's one, Booch. You could call me out if I'm full of it, all right? But I feel like I was the first person to say Seth freaking Rollins before they started saying it. This was in the old world. This is before the turn, and this is before I was like, Seth freaking Rollins, because I wanted to say the other word, but it was FCC friendly, and that was the whole joke. And then a couple months later, they started saying it. And I don't know, but maybe somebody heard it, and then it just found its way. I don't know. I'm just saying, I heard what I heard. I said what I said. What were you going to say, Booch?
Well, it used to be little sprinklings of it every now and then. Like he would say Seth freaking Rollins, but it wasn't like part of his name. It was just something people would say. So there could be some truth to that. But it wasn't until many years later, I can't remember the exact year off the top of my head, but they eventually made it Seth freaking Rollins, like part of his entrance. But
like 2 years ago, like 2 years ago, they officially changed it on the website and everything.
Yeah. So, but
we were talking about this in 2017, 2018.
Exactly. So I'm saying there's a possibility.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and Elvis has been calling Seth fucking Rollins for I couldn't tell you how long.
You never know the influence this might have. I also, if you're listening, you keep rolling, because I have feelings about the 4-way matches that aren't fatal 4-ways. I want it to be one disqualified team after another till we get down to 2, and then narrow it down to one single winner. And listen, Bianca and Jade maintained. They defeated Damage Control, the Metaphor, and Chelsea and Piper. The finish was beautiful. I loved how Piper took the final fall. It could have gone to anybody. This match was so full of moments and shifts and momentum that where I'm like, maybe it's Kyrie, maybe it's Damage Control, or maybe they retain, or maybe it's Metaphor, maybe Desmond is onto something here. The champ is in the room. The champion is chomping at the bit here. Go for it. Vincent Kennedy, Booch, your thoughts on this match?
Obviously, I'm happy Jade and Bianca won because I got to keep the title, but also because, like I said, I know there's going to come a day where they're going to drop these belts, but I strongly believe they're going to wait till they get to the road to WrestleMania. So that way, when Bianca and Jade are no longer champs, one can turn on the other, most likely Jade, because Jade and Bianca could both be heels, but I feel like Jade is going to be the heel in this scenario because Bianca's too beloved. And they're going to have that match at WrestleMania, which some people think she's capable of it. Others don't. I have faith. I think Jade can pull it off. I feel like WWE is, some say they're putting her in a tag match because she can't work. I feel like they're putting her in a tag match because they want to wait to show what she's fully capable of. That's that's my theory. Because I feel like WWE's been training her very well and she's ready. Sorry.
I feel like they put her in a tag team because they put her with one of the best women in the division so that she could learn the foundations that she never had in AEW. And I feel like she has grown. She's not quite there yet, but she's getting there.
Yeah.
She has definitely grown.
And I feel like when they do lock up at WrestleMania, because that is a Mania match, I don't want them wasting it in any other pay-per-view. So that's why I say when we get closer to the Rumble, maybe Elimination Chamber, they'll drop the belts there. Whether it's at that pay-per-view or on a TV, they'll drop it then and then build it to WrestleMania. That's where I see that going. But I will say overall, I don't know what it is about having multiple people in the ring where why is it every time there's more than 4 people in a ring, it has to be high spots galore? Can't we get it like, can't you all just do it the way you normally do it? Plan them in different places, not have it all over the place? Because one thing that happened, and I cannot stand this for the life of me, and it happens all the time in multiple matches. There was a moment where Chelsea was going to jump out of the ring, but then was like, nah, let me jump down here and jump, and Piper caught her. I like that because it fits her gimmick. I'll go with that. It was a catch. And then Kairi Sane did the elbow off the top, which this is my personal pet peeve. I don't like people who do elbow drops and people that are standing up, but I've accepted it's what she does. So
I will say this. When Ambrose did it, I loved it because it made it a point of it being silly. It was like, he's the only person crazy enough to drop an elbow on a standing opponent. They used to say that all the time.
Well, yes.
And that was his thing.
Yeah, it fit the gimmick, so I went through that. So I'm like, okay, here's an elbow drop. Fine, I'll live with that. But then Io's like, wait, it's my turn, and then climbs up, does a goddamn moonsault. Then it's like, oh, wait, it's my turn. I hate that. And I hate when it's like, oh, everybody else died, now I gotta dive, and we all gotta stand and wait to catch, and it just gets faker and faker and faker and faker and faker, and it's just like, I want to enjoy this match, but I can't. And I'm also upset because the last show, I did something I thought I would never do on this show. I paid Damage Control a compliment. And then it's like, really? Y'all gonna go back to the old shit after I just paid y'all a compliment? Psychology and your in-ring work to the point where Desmond thought I picked you, and now you guys are gonna freaking go back to the old shit? Like, that's just come on, man. That's like when you tell somebody, I swear to God he's clean, and now he's in the corner smoking a crack pipe. Like, what the hell, bro? I just told them you cleaned up. Come on. Don't do me like that.
Yeah.
The right team won.
Go ahead, Des.
I mean, look, I will agree with you that the right team won. It's not the team that I picked. I picked based on... Realistically, I picked because I was hoping to see the women's tag titles go back to NXT. I did this a lot in this pay-per-view, where I went with my heart more than I did my head. And it is what it is. And my logic was there because, the last time that they lost the titles, it was in a multi team match.
Yeah.
So it made sense to me. So but it was, you're right on that though. It's like, I love Flyers, but then some of that shit's just rough, man. Some of that's just rough.
Yeah, and it takes the level of believability away when they're outside. She catches her, puts her down, and they're holding each other's shoulders and having a conversation while old girl's up on the ropes getting her stability, trying to make sure she's not going to fall, and then does a quick a 1 and a 2 and a, so yeah. And then again, just rinse and repeat over and over. Mix it up. Do it 2 separate times. You don't have to do it all at that same time. Again,
if you do a conversation, look and talk at each other. Best example of this, back in NXT, when Pat McAfee first wrestled, he had a rivalry with Adam Cole. They had a moment where it was, I think the Undisputed Era were kind of like looking at each other. Oh, no, it was the Undisputed Era, and Adam Cole had a bunch of former football players that were his friends come into the ring with him to be his backup because the Undisputed Era was still together. And they're arguing outside the ring. And Adam Cole just dived on everybody. It worked because they weren't looking at him. So you could easily be like, yeah, we're talking, we're having a conversation. Oh, wait, somebody hit me. Like, it's like if you're talking to somebody, you get hit in the head with a ball. It makes sense. You weren't looking at the ball. But if you're staring at the person and they throw the ball at your head,
yeah,
it's kind of like you knew the ball was coming. You didn't even bother to put your hands up to try and catch it. Like, it's that kind of thing. So the conversation works if you're looking at each other. But when you're having a conversation and you're next to each other and you're looking up, it's like, come on.
Yeah, do better.
Try.
Yeah, at least try and like do it faster. Just do it.
Yeah.
Do it like a walkthrough, like they do in the NFL on Friday. Just not even before you let all the universe in. Just do a quick walkthrough of the match. At this spot, this is how we're gonna handle it. Here's the timing. Let's practice the timing. Anyway, yeah, to your point, Desmond, no points in that match. Wenz, no points in that match. Booch, you got the official first point of the afternoon. Boy, oh boy, good for you. But to your point, Desmond, I agree. Sometimes you got to pick with your heart, man. And it's like you want to pick based on, and there is logic there. There is logic to your argument of the last time they lost it. It was in this multi-tag team scenario. So, yeah, logic was also involved in that point. So don't sell yourself short there. And also, the universe got an opportunity to see these two. I had never, because I don't watch NXT. I watch SmackDown on occasion, more Raw than SmackDown. But Lash and Jakara had my opportunity to see them. So that was like really cool for me. And it makes me want to tune in to NXT from time to time and see what's going on. So maybe that's also a great opportunity for that, cross-platform integration there. Woo! This next match, Booch, again, you were the sole proprietor of points as Seth freaking Rollins defeated Bronson Reed. And I just got to say, this was a total swerve. Like, I watched and I felt like Bronson had control 95-6% of this match. And then at the last minute, we had two stomps and then a super stomp. And then there we go. So congratulations on the point. I was nauseous.
Yeah, this was bullshit. Once again, this was one where I went with my heart because I'm like, they've been spending all this time building him up, making him dominant. And I said this when we made the predictions, I'm terrified that they're just going to feed him to Rollins. And what the fuck did they do? They fed him to Rollins.
In fairness, I will say that they told somewhat of the story because they encapsulate it with his anger ultimately got the best of him. He was fine before the stairs thing. And then he got his leg taken out. That was a weak spot. I feel like Rollins barely touched him, if anything. And if you're going to chop block, if you're going to go for it, at least try to make contact with the thigh, something. But it was weak, my opinion. But part of the story, I get it. But nobody can survive 3 curb stomps. And I'm glad that it took 3 for them to tell the end of that story. And it's not over. We're going to see more of them, obviously, on Raw. Rollins once more. So your thoughts on the match and what's ahead as these two continued about it.
If Bronson Reed was going to lose, I will say this was the way to do it. Kind of like what you said, like Bronson dominated 95% of the match and you went to the finish. That's exactly, if I was going to have Seth go over, I don't know if I would have personally, that's exactly how I would have booked it. Because Seth's whole thing was Bronson was dominant. You can't go out there and have a 50-50 match with a guy that tsunamied you multiple times and put you on the shelf. Like, Seth has to fight out from underneath. And when he did finally do it, it was, like you said, 2 curve stops and then 1 off the top rope, because it's like the normal ones wouldn't do it. So it's like, what do I got to do to put this guy away? That's usually the question. Like, when something happens, and a lot of times we're sitting there going, that should have been the finish. It's because it's so devastating. You either have to top it by doing something even crazier that could risk injury, or you're going to have a finish that's bland. And that happens, sadly, a lot in modern wrestling, where a big spot will happen, and it could be the finish. And at the end of the match, right there, we all go, this is amazing. But then something else happens that's not quite as amazing, so it kind of falls flat.
Right.
So
yeah,
this didn't do that. And Bronson, killed Seth. The story was great. Bronson's telling him, stay down, stay down, stay down. He won't. Seth at one point goes, "You should have finished me when you had the chance," and slaps him. Like, there was storytelling in this match. So while it does suck that Seth got the win, this doesn't hurt Bronson Reed at all. Bronson can recover from this because of the way they booked it. If it was just one curb stomp normally, 1, 2, 3, I'd be right there with you going, they fed him, fuck this, it sucks. But the way they finished the match, they allowed Bronson Reed to live to get over another day if Triple H is smart enough to implement it, which I think we can trust him. If Vince was in office, we'd probably all be like, all right, he's done. But Hunter, I think he knows what he's doing. Like I said, he's got a 95% success rate. So I'm hoping this doesn't fall into the other 5%.
I will say this. I'm terrified of kind of what it looks like is about to happen because we've got Sami Zayn trying to recruit Seth Rollins to the OG bloodline. It looks like it's going to be Sami, the OG bloodline, Rollins against the new bloodline and Bronson Reed.
Yeah. And the writing's on the wall because he was so anti the idea. Whenever it starts like that, like there's no risk of a double cross when it starts like that. You know, I feel like if they could have played it off kind of like, I'll think about it. I don't know. Because he was so opposite, it's like, you know, it's going to happen.
Well, the
like Jay and
I've been
Jimmy.
hearing is that they're saying Cody might be the 5th guy for the OG team, and they're gonna somehow get The Rock in for the other team, whether it's a surprise or something, like maybe he's like the last guy at the end, so he doesn't have to do as much.
I don't know if The Rock's in ring shape for that. I think you save The Rock for Mania if you're going to do it. You know what I mean?
That's too much for the 5-on-5. So The Rock will be limited with what it does.
That's true. Good
That's why I'm saying if you put him in the cage last, then
Good point.
you do that. Or
He comes in, runs his spots. He comes in and runs his spots, and then they go to the finish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does the elbow, the people's elbow, and then he does the rock bottom.
Yeah.
That's it. Who would he do it on? You know?
Either Cody or Roman, depending on which one he's gonna face at Mania.
Yeah, I choose Roman on that because we all know that's happening. Head of the table match. A triple threat head of the table with Solo. Oh, can you imagine? That would be great. I would love that. We still got that match to get to. We still got to get to that. So Booch, congratulations. At this point, you're up 2 points to none. Feeling pretty good about yourself, I can imagine. So at this point, Vincent Kennedy Bucci's up 2 points. You and I are both down 2 points. I was in the corner crying. How are you doing?
I mean, I was still enjoying the show. That's really all that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's easier to enjoy when you're not losing terribly. I'll just be honest about that. And this next match helped. This got all three of us a point. We all predicted this. The unraveling as Carmelo and Andrade are beating each other up. LA Knight picks up the pieces, and a great way to finish it. Right? It could have gone the way they told it. It could have gone anybody's way. Everybody got their spots in this match. This match was actually one of the best, most fun matches, in my opinion, to watch during this pay-per-view. LA Knight got the win. He continues his reign. Y'all's thoughts on this match?
It was a given. Like, there was no question who was going to win this match in my mind. And we all got the point, didn't we? Yeah. Yeah. This was... I don't know. I feel like this was a throw together match to make sure that LA Knight was on the card when he didn't have any fucking real stories going.
What would you have done differently?
I don't know. Put him against literally any heel and built an actual story. And instead of throwing him in the middle of someone else's rivalry. Because that's all they did here. They threw him in the middle of a best of 7 series that was already going, made him the referee, and then made it a triple threat match.
Lazy booking.
To me, it just felt like, oh, LA Knight's an afterthought. We have to have a match for his title. We'll just do this.
Do you feel like he feels like he's an afterthought? Or do you think he even cares that he's getting that check?
I honestly don't know right now. I think that as right now they're booking him to win, and he probably likes that. But at the same time, there's only so much you can do when you're not given the right stories, and the fans are gonna start losing interest, and I think he knows that.
Yeah. Yeah, and
He doesn't.
how long? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
So he does a really good job of getting the fans to care about him, and he works really hard to do it. But at some point, all that hard work's gonna become pointless.
Mm-hmm. Booch, your thoughts and not only him, but also like what's at stake with the United States Championship and what he's bringing to that. Because I feel like he's good for it as long as they handle it properly.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And if I recall the best of 7 series correctly, wasn't the winner of the whole thing supposed to get a U.S. title shot, or did they just add that to last minute?
Well, at the end of it, they did make it about the U.S. title, but that was kind of thrown together really close to the end of it.
Okay.
And they started out with just the two of them butting heads and getting in each other's faces.
So it was just a regular best of 7, and then when they tied it up, they added the U.S. title?
Yeah, that's what it sounded like.
Okay, because I want to double check that before I said anything. Because, yeah, it is kind of thrown together. I will say this. I am normally not a fan of triple threat matches. I surprisingly liked this one. I felt that everything flowed together naturally. It felt organic. When they moved from one spot to the next, nothing felt forced like they do in most triple threat matches. So I personally enjoyed the match. Now, as far as I definitely hope LA Knight gets better stories after this. I think it's just sometimes you also got to find quality people to work with. Like, that's why I've always been not so much of a fan of brand splits, because you only get to work with so many people, and then eventually you either run out of people or you don't have enough interesting people to keep feuds going. That's why you notice now, especially with Survivor Series coming up, they're cross promoting. Like, they're bringing in Raw and SmackDown people on the same teams, and they've had this champion versus champion thing going on. Like, at some point, they're mixing it up because they're running out of people, which it sounds exciting as a fan, but still it defeats the purpose of what the split was designed for.
In general, if you do a draft every year after WrestleMania, as long as you are actually changing your fucking rosters every year,
yeah,
then the brand split works beautifully, because it gives you a very set. It's like, we know this is who we're going to work with for the tag division this year. It gives you an idea of what you're going to do for the following year. But if you keep the same people that you had the year before, then I'm with you. Then it defeats the purpose.
Yeah, that's exactly what they did. They changed little to nobody. Maybe like
3 people.
Splits. And 2 of them were factions. The Floods it was insane. So that's really the issue there. And I don't think it's a matter of, because here's the thing, they still cheer when LA Knight walks to that ring. So I do agree it can change if booking doesn't develop, but right now LA Knight's still okay. I just want to see where they're going with this and how long they want to make him U.S. champ. Like I said, I think the moment he drops that title is when they're finally ready to put the big one on him.
Mm-hmm. Or Intercontinental, move up, to the IC scene, because he could definitely pull that title. Like, he's up there. He could butt heads with Breaker. He could butt heads in that. Mm-hmm.
Maybe they work him on the mid card scene for a while. They have him do this. Then when he loses, they put him on a tag team. He wins the tag title for just a short run, and then they swatch shows, and then he goes to the IC title. Maybe what they're doing is they're working on making him a Grand Slam champion.
That could be it.
That's a good angle.
That could work.
Believable. Yeah. How many years do you think? Just 4 or 5 before you see LA Knight wear either Universal or heavyweight champion?
I don't think it. I'd say he could be Universal champion or WWE champion, whichever one he fucking takes. He could be that champion within the next 2 years, easy.
Yeah, I think he probably would have been. He would have at least won the world title on Raw if we hadn't had so many comebacks. Like, they ended up re-signing CM Punk, and then you had Cody coming in. So when you had these big stars that came from the other place, that came from AEW, it was a way to they kind of had to switch gears because now it's like we have Cody who's white hot because the fans are loving what he did outside of here. CM Punk, the most controversial, polarizing figure in wrestling today. So they had to capitalize on that. But I think if they had stayed in
2025, and with 2025, we're gonna have Cena back.
Oh, in 2025, we got three things going on in 2025. We have John Cena on a retirement tour, Logan Paul going full time, and it's not, no one's going to like this, but I just saw it on the news, so I got to report it. Apparently, when Goldberg got inducted into the some kind of college football Hall of Fame, he revealed in 2025 is when they plan on having his retirement match that Vince promised him. So Triple H is going to deliver.
I'm not disagree with you on something here. I am super excited about this. You mean we're finally going to get to say that's his last match? Bye? Fuck yeah.
Okay.
Hey, can Bret Hart come out with a steel chair and hit him with it?
Yes. Yes.
But for that to work, you'd actually have to get them together in a room. I think Bret's too bitter to do that, but it would work.
Here's all Triple H has to say. You get to hit Goldberg in the head with the chair.
Yeah, that's reward enough. You don't even have to pay him. He'd be like, I don't want any money. Just give me that spot. No gimmicks. Let me pick the chair. I bring the chair. All right, so there we were. All three of us got a point on that. That, like to your point, Des, it was a gimme. I hope, to your point, also, we all hope. I think everybody wants the best for LA Knight because he's just fun to root for. He's lovable. He's great.
I see a lot of people hating on him on the internet. A lot of people hate him on the internet, and I don't understand it. They're like, he's just a ripoff of The Rock. No, he's not. He sounds like it's like he's from Hagerstown, Maryland. I grew up in Hagerstown, Maryland. Okay, he is an inner city kid, all grown up. That's all he is, and he sounds just like it. He talks out his ass. Yeah, I mean, it's like he's not being The Rock, he's being himself. That is how people talk. Yeah, he's got some catchphrases, but The Rock wasn't the only one who had catchphrases. Every great talker in a history of pro wrestling had catchphrases.
And also, The Rock went through quite a change from Maivia to the Rocky that we know now. And
oh yeah,
LA Knight's been pretty consistent. I feel like he hasn't had to be a different person altogether. But it takes different eras. It takes different swaps and switches. And
I don't know. That Max Dupree version.
We don't talk about that.
Wait, but are we talking a different promotion? Because I'm thinking on SmackDown.
That was on WWE when he came up from NXT.
Oh,
NXT.
Yeah.
He left NXT.
That Dupree and gimmick, and then when Triple H took back over, they made him LA Knight again.
Okay, no, you're right. You're right. Good call. Good call on that. It was so forgettable. So this next match had a lot of implication. I can't recall. I know I lost at this point because I picked Nia Jax. Both you gentlemen picked Liv Morgan, correct?
He did.
Okay, yes. Congratulations. Liv living her best life. Got her first ever crown jewel champion. Also with Hunter out there, that was a nice moment for a meaningless belt. But you guys got the point. And your thoughts on this match? I thought it was great. There were so many opportunities for that cash in moment. It almost happens. It almost happens. It almost happens, but doesn't. And I love it. I love the tease. Yeah.
Something I actually liked about this is they didn't keep the belt. What they get are rings, like Super Bowl rings. So it's a trophy. So the belt was there for show and it's staying in Saudi Arabia. But the winner of those champions versus championship matches don't get the belt. They get rings to say they won the the champion versus champion match at Saudi Arabia, which is really cool. I like that. I actually like that. To me, that makes it a lot better than a belt that they can't do anything with.
Yeah, and the ring is kind of like synonymous with other sports, and it's like Brady, one for the thumb. This could be a long-term thing of like somebody, how many crown jewel championships do you have? And because this is how it starts. It's got to start somewhere, and this is going to bring us later on, if we get time to talk about it,
she's 3 of them in.
Women's U.S. championship belt that they have. Like a real belt that we don't know a lot about, but we heard all this talking about. I mean, this could be a big thing. So you never know.
I'm gonna say this. I'm glad the belts are staying in Saudi Arabia because I'm just gonna say this, and maybe I'm too old school, but I don't care. If the belt is bigger than the wrestler holding it, doesn't say much about the wrestler. So yeah, I'm glad it's staying over there. That belt was bigger than her. Like it covered her body. I couldn't even see Liv. I just saw the belt. Like that's not a good sign.
I was like, that belt's bigger than most of the women's roster. That thing was huge. Oh, like even the guys are looking at it like that's a big fucking belt.
Yeah, but at least you could at best it covered Cody's, half his body. You could still see Cody. I couldn't see Liv when she held that thing up. I'm like, all I saw was blonde hair. That could have been anybody.
Yeah, I think Hunter was helping her. I feel like Hunter was helping her hold it up.
Why do you think she held that? Why do you think he held up that hand?
Exactly. He's like, no, I got this, Liv. Trust me. That's right. This is hard for me, So congratulations, you guys were well ahead in the driver's seat. Another match I was wrong on. I took a lot of shots. And did not win. Cody Rhodes did, though, as he beat Gunther. Sound logic again, gentlemen. Booch, I went back and listened to your prediction, and it was just spot on. Beautiful recipe for success. Great match. A lot of fun. And it didn't end bad either. It was like an acceptable finish, in my view. Desmond, what say you?
Well, like I said when we made the predictions, I went back and forth with this one. I didn't like the booking of this at all. As much as the only thing that I liked about it is that neither of the championships were on the line. Because I didn't feel like either one of them needed to take a loss. But I will say this, with what they're doing with it after the fact, I like the character building that they're doing with Gunther now. Because Damian Priest saying, your aura's gone, man. You're losing something here. From when you just barely beat me and needed my partners to turn on me for you to beat me, and then losing, getting pinned to Cody Rhodes.
He's not wrong.
And it's like, and you can see the look on Gunther. Gunther is really. If you didn't believe Gunther was a good actor before seeing all of this, then legitimately, this man is fucking playing that role to a fucking T. And I am loving it.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Des.
I'm gonna say this. That is perfect. And the reason this works perfectly, because there's some people that like it, some people that don't. I'm going to tell you why this works perfectly. It's for one reason and one reason only. Gunther is a heel. And when you are a heel, you are allowed to be scared and show a little fear and have doubt. Heels are allowed to do that because, yes, Gunther was a dominant heel. He was clever on the mic. And the reason I like this change is because I think Gunther is so good on the mic that it felt like it was getting to a point where the boos were turning into cheers. And I think this is a way to kind of dial that back. And it's like, wait, we need to get heat. He's a heel. If he gets too popular, then we got to switch in babyface. And they're not ready to do that.
I'll say this. You made it sound like faces can very, very easily show self-doubt. Cena has in the past showed some self-doubt and had to come back from it. That's actually good character development for a face as well.
True. But I'm saying, like, in some cases, it depends on the situation. A heel can do it 24/7, 365. For a baby, there has to be, like, for example, a heel is allowed to beg and quit and give up. Like, anytime. But anytime he's different. But for example, like when Edge had the I Quit match with Finn Balor, the only reason Edge said I quit was because we're going to do the concerto to Beth Phoenix. So in situations like that, a babyface is allowed to say, I quit, just don't hurt her. If I'm not quitting because I'm scared of you, I'm quitting to try to save another person's life. So a babyface is allowed to have those moments, but you have to create reasons for it. Other than that, a babyface is supposed to be the good guy. I try to win. I believe in myself every time. But then you have to create the story. Gunther can show doubt at any time. And this shows another aspect of a heel that Gunther hasn't been yet and allows him to develop like, look, okay, I had this bravado because I was confident, but now that confidence is shattered. Now you can see, oh crap. Like even to the point where Kaiser's coming out here bragging for me. The Gunther's like, stop. Like, it's like when you're at a bar and you're arguing with somebody and your friend suddenly goes, he goes, hey, you keep talking, he's gonna kick your ass. Shut up.
I think what's gonna happen here is we're gonna actually see Gunther start leaning into his faction. We've seen him taking most of his title defenses, especially with the IC title. He did not use Imperium all that much. And I think we're going to start see him leaning into using Kaiser.
Could you imagine? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Just one thing to say was I love the finish of this match because not only did it not bury Gunther, but, and people reference this, the same finish we saw at Crown Jewel was the same finish at WrestleMania 8 that Bret Hart used on Roddy Piper, and the same from Survivor Series 96 that Bret Hart used on Steve Austin. That was a perfect finish because it allowed Cody to win without Gunther being buried, and now developing the story we got. So I'm sorry.
Right, he countered a submission with a pin. It's beautiful. I love those finishes.
Exactly, and it just doesn't. It doesn't necessarily make him that much better than Gunther either. You know what I mean? It's okay.
No, it was a right time, the right move at the right time got you the win.
Right. Don't know if you guys saw this, Booch. I think I texted you this, but in today's day and age of social media, you gotta wonder if Hunter is willing to take risks and capitalize on confessed, open, I guess relationships that people have admitted to. Like they're open about their relationship. Not that they're in open relationships. I mean, I don't know what their deal is, but
these days, most of them are.
Ludwig, I mean, they're on the road a lot. Ludwig Kaiser, right? And Tiffany Stratton. Imagine, speaking of leaning into the faction, if they had a female. Imagine if Tiffy could join Imperium and help. I mean, this would be great. This would be great long term. What are your guys' thoughts on that possibility? It's a shot in the dark now. I get it because we haven't seen any storytelling leaning towards that.
I don't think her character matches Imperium very well.
You think they could make it work though?
I mean, you can make anything work, but it wouldn't. I don't see that being a long-term thing. I mean, I get hell. They made Daniel Bryan and Kane work, so I mean,
that was great.
I mean, it would require to cast in on Liv Morgan, and I have no objections to that of any kind. But I will say that what the reason it's working is because Imperium's entire gimmick, their whole gimmick is they're old school and the mat is sacred. They're very much old school, like old school wrestling, old school style. They don't like anyone they feel disrespects the mat or the ring. And I don't know. And again, that's why Tippy's all about Tippy time and Toodles. And I don't think it would work. It would probably be something where, like, if they were going to bring her in, it'd be like a Yoko Ono situation. Like, this is the Yoko Ono that breaks up the Beatles.
It would be a great way when they decide to separate them. Like, that would be a great way to do it.
Which I would be okay with if they hadn't kicked Giovanni Vinci out, which I still thought was dumb. Or if they went with the rumors, there's a rumor going around that Ilya Dragunov, who's out with an injury, he was going to be part of this. So if you had, if Giovanni Vinci was still there, and you had Dragunov join the group, and then somehow Kaiser brings in Tiffany, and that's the thing that makes Imperium implode, then that storyline would work. But like I said, with only two people, it's not really a faction. It's more of a tag team.
Yeah.
You got to have more than two people to be a faction.
There's just tangents that we go off on, and that's what I love about this show. Yeah. But you guys were doing great in the driver's seat. We move on here. All three of us got this, and I think any thinking person would agree that the new bloodline would win, especially it's a numbers game. And that was a point of emphasis on the prediction show, and it came true. The original tribal chief is trying to enlist help. I like the story. I don't love it of Sami Zayn. I don't love it. They'll sell me on it. Eventually, I'll be all in by the time it goes down. But all three of us got a point here in the 6-man tag team match. Booch, your thoughts on this match?
The right team won for this reason. I knew from the entrances who was going to win before the match even started. When I saw Roman's music play and I saw him and Jimmy walk out to the ring, and then I hear Jay go, "It's just me, Oos." I'm like, they're losing. Not only are they losing, they should have. I would have been pissed if they won this match because there's no unity. There's no unity. I could tell right there, they're not fully together yet. And until they are fully together, like I said, they should not win. Solo's team is unified under one leader, one boss. They all acknowledge, regardless of how we may feel about Solo storyline-wise, they have all acknowledged him. They are on the same page. These guys were clearly not on the same page going into the match. Yeah, they kind of talked in the ring. They did the ones, but you can tell they're not fully together. And that's why they should have lost this match. The match was great. You could also tell because Jay's in the ring, and at one point, Roman, the crowd's chanting, "We want Roman." Roman sticks that hand out, and he tags in Jimmy. I'm like, they're losing. Everything here told me they were losing, and if they hadn't lost, I would have been pissed.
But didn't you love that moment? I love that moment. I loved it because it showed what you just described. It was reinforcing the fact that they aren't what they want to be yet, and it's going to take more forces joining and aligning with them.
And I'm gonna take it a step further. Obviously, the whole Sammy thing's going on. When they get the Survivor Series, this is what I want to see if the OG Bloodline's going over. And I cannot emphasize this enough. When they walk to that ring, I expect Roman's music to play. I expect all 5 men to walk out unified. No individual entrances, no individual t-shirts. In fact, they're just selling OG Bloodline t-shirts on. I want them all wearing OG Bloodline, and that's what I want to see. No individual entrances, no individual t-shirts, no yeets. I want to see these guys coming out as one. If they cannot move as one, they should not go over.
I think you're going to hear the yeet because it's so over.
Well, t-shirt. I'm talking about on his t-shirt. I don't want to see the yeet t-shirt. I want to see OG Bloodline. They can chant yeet. The fans can say whatever they want. They paid their money. But I'm saying I don't want any of that. Just me, Oos. It's not just you. You're now in a team. If you're going to be in a team, you need to be a team. You can I know Jay said we can all be equals. That can still be a thing. But even when you're equals, you still need a leader.
Yeah, I agree.
You still need a leader. Someone needs, it's like on a football team.
Yep.
There's the quarterback.
There's captain.
Now, the quarterback's not bossy. Now, the quarterback might be bossy, but he's still a guy that's like, hey, I call the play. You guys run it. We work together. We score. But the quarterback still has to tell you, hey, you're going out for the pass. You block here. You go over on this place. And everybody goes break, and everybody does their job. So Roman needs to be the leader. That's why when Sandy was asking Roman to apologize, he should have. And be like, look, I was wrong. I am the leader. I am the tribal chief. But I let the power go to my head. And I promise if you acknowledge me now and we all unite, I will not make that mistake again. And then they all say, I acknowledge you, put the ones up, and go to Survivor Series.
I disagree on one point. You don't need to have a leader. You can all be a council. Everything can be decided. And then you make calls based on your original plan as a council. You do not have to have one person making every call. And that's the difference here.
Well,
but that being said, there was more than just that they weren't unified. There were other reasons that they should not have won this match. We knew this rivalry wasn't ending here. It wasn't ending at Crown Jewel. And Roman and Jimmy had already gotten a win over the Bloodline. Previously, you couldn't get them two wins in a row. That just makes the new Bloodline look weak. So they had to lose.
Yeah,
there was no giving this one to Roman and the Usos. It wasn't going to work.
Absolutely. And from an analytical standpoint, that's true. I would say from a storyline perspective, but from an analytical perspective, that's also true. Yeah, so I agree with you there. And then, yeah, and obviously, like the leader thing, I was more like, well, not necessarily like, making all the decisions, but like someone needs to be there to keep everything in line. Like if the council's arguing and no one can agree on something, there's got to be a leader that comes in and goes, okay, here's the final say, like that kind of thing to maintain.
That right there is why you always need an odd number of people. Somebody's got to be the tiebreaker. And it can be a different person every time. It's like if these two people are disagreeing, this person over here can be like, you know what? I see what you're saying, but I got to go this way. And then next time it could be that person could be in the disagreement, and the other person over here has to pick one of the two. They don't have to have one person that's always the tiebreaker.
True, but if Roman's going to be the tribal chief, which is what they're looking for him to regain, is that Ulafala, the tribal chief. The tribal chief is the leader. The difference is Roman's not going to treat them like shit like he did before, because you could be a leader and still treat people with respect, and because they respect you, they follow you, because they know you have the plan and go into battle.
And that's how and why they need to differentiate who Roman is now versus what Seth Rollins called him, a tyrant. He's like, you have no idea what I've been through dealing with that tyrant. And when he said that word, it was a great word, because if you look at what tyranny really is, it's disgusting. It's absolutely gross. So he's not that anymore. I mean, he's not. He's showed that, right? And
he's still showing that he's full of himself. He has not completely changed
to a degree. Yeah,
but they're willing to call him out on it, and he's sitting here, he's taking notice of it because they're not just taking it anymore. So he's having to take notice of it.
Right. Yeah. And he's also accepting the fact that he's not like indomitable anymore. Like he's beatable and he needs help. I think it's a different scenario now, where before, through submission and fear, he willed his subjects into, obedience. And now it's more of like, this is more of a team focus. There's a greater good at play. And we have unfinished business together. And there are relationships that can be mended through teamwork in the squared circle. So let's see how it works out. We don't know. One thing I do know is that I teased it before. As we close the show, I want to get y'all's thoughts on, the new, and it's a pretty looking thing, all new Women's United States Championship belt, and how you would determine the process for who the winner will be.
I'll tell you how. I wouldn't have it. It's that simple.
Why not?
We don't have enough women on the roster. We already have tag titles that are having a hard time getting. We finally got enough tag teams to make the tag titles work, only because they're going between all three brands. We are the women. We have women's titles on all shows. We just don't have enough women on the roster to justify a mid-card title for them.
So would you say that we should have a women's Intercontinental Championship?
It's the same thing.
Not necessarily.
We do not need. No, it is exactly the same thing. It is exactly
like
the only difference
is like here, and the United States is like here.
It isn't. They're on the exact same.
The next tier, I feel like it's just one more step up.
As far as WWE accounts, they are exactly the same thing. It's just Raw's equivalent or SmackDown's equivalent.
Well, that's my take. It's just my opinion. Okay. I feel like there are so many deserving women and only a few titles for them to fight over. And you're right. There is a need for the other titles to really work the stories better. But wouldn't it be cool to have just one more story unfold to where you could incorporate some of those people and have them win gold?
If you have just the U.S. title and they went through all three brands, that's probably a way to make it work. But the reality is, and that's why I'm over here like saying thank you, because I'm glad Desmond and I are on the same page with this. There's not enough women. There's really not enough women. And it irritates me because, again, this is Triple H's solution to every problem for some goddamn reason, is more belts. We don't need more belts. It's getting to the point where it's for goddamn ridiculous. And this is the thing about Triple H that bugs me, that really irks me about the women's division. This man will bend over backwards with gimmick matches and belts and all these other things to put the women on an equal playing field with the men, except do the one thing, and I'm not going to say what it is because you probably already know where I'm going with it, the one thing that would actually make them equal. He will not pull the trigger on that one thing, but he'll do everything else. And it's for goddamn ridiculous. Giving the women a mid-card title is not going to make them equal because, again, you don't have enough women, you don't have enough stories, you don't have enough TV time. It doesn't work. You're having a hard enough time with just the separate women's titles on both brands. Now you want to add a mid-card in on top of it? It doesn't work.
If you were going to add a new title, you would need SmackDown and Raw would have to have one world title, and the mid-card title could be on one on each show. You don't put a mid-card title when you have a big title on each show and don't have enough women to cover it as it is.
Exactly.
Well, evidently, I stand alone, but I will do that here in the world of Wenz. And we'll see how it works out. This could be the greatest thing that ever happened. You never know. Time will tell. But one thing's for sure, we will never, ever leave you without a few key catchphrases, one of which is, have a nice day.
Bang, bang.
I'm still alive.